a sign parts of Boulder County are returning to normal after the Marshall fire.
To have these milestones of reopening is really amazing.
A shopping center now back open 8 months after the destruction, plus addressing a mental health crisis in Colorado.
So we knew that we had to do something to help our kids. That was pre-pandemic. The pandemic has only made it worse.
A school district in the metro is working on a program so its students can get the treatment they need. And thousands of Coloradans are getting their student loans forgiven, but it's not coming from the federal government. Plus, the Broncos have just a few hours left to finalize their roster. A big part of the Superior community is back open this morning. Air Tracker 7 flew over the Target store. It's back open for business 8 months after the Marshall fire. Thanks so much for joining us for Denver 7 News at 11. I'm Jason Grenauer. The scene today is a whole lot different than the day of the fire. This video shows all the smoke and wind outside the store. 35 businesses in the fire zone were damaged during the fire. Denver 7's Christian Lopez was at that store this morning when it reopened, where people celebrated the return of this community staple.
When the Marshall fire hit the town of Superior, the roof of this Target caught on fire and it triggered a sprinkler malfunction that caused extensive flood damage. But after 8 months of hard work, the store has been reconstructed and restocked, and today they are celebrating their grand reopening, and this really means a lot to so many people here in the community. There was a line of people waiting to get in this morning. Some also celebrated by having a tailgate party with their friends. Someone on a Superior community Facebook page came up with the idea, and this morning we talked to one of the first people to arrive. Erica Chapman was here enjoying some food with her friends and spending time with her community on this important milestone.
Very excited. I mean, everybody's in Target right now. But apparently this is going to be going on all day. So, you know, we got to pass the baton, people.
Yeah.
Come out and open your cars and your hearts and I guess your wallets.
We've seen a lot of shoppers coming in and out of the store this morning, but for a lot of people, again, this is much more than just a store grand reopening, but it's about celebrating all of the progress that's been made here in Superior 8 months after the Marshall fire caused so much damage. Reporting in Superior this morning, I'm Christian Lopez, Denver 7.
Another store damaged in the Marshall fire is opening in a new location. The Longmont Times reports the Scherer Violin shop opened in downtown Louisville about a week and a half ago. The owner had run the store out of his home, but the home was destroyed in the fire. He was able to take a couple of items out before the home burned, and those are now in this new shop. Well, a smash and grab this morning at a Denver dispensary as a suspect drove through concrete barriers to get in. This happened at the Healing Tree Dispensary near 50th in Colorado early this morning. The owners say the suspect or suspects stole some of their products and an ATM. They say this is the 5th time this has happened in the last 2 years. Excuse me, the family of Angie Vega says she wants her daughter to be remembered for who she was. A daughter, a sister, and a friend.
She loved bringing people together, and she'd be the one to thank everybody, giving everybody a hug, because that's how she thanked everybody, giving hugs away.
Vega was murdered Friday as she was closing up at work at NoCo Nutrition in Greeley. Her mom says Angie loved to dance and to cook and was an inspiration to her younger siblings. Police arrested 24-year-old Marcus Vallejos in the case. He's being held on first-degree murder and sexual assault charges.
I'm not fine, but I'm doing okay.
We're hearing from an elderly Colorado Springs woman who survived being shot while visiting family in Milwaukee. 88-year-old Carrie Barnhill was shot multiple times last week. Police say a man opened fire at her sister's house, killing her sister.
Even when the bullets was going in my feet, I did not move because being retired from the Air Force, I knew that would be a sign that I was still alive. And so when the police came, they wouldn't let me look at all, but I knew that my sister was not going to make it.
Barnhill's brother-in-law and family friend were also hurt. Barnhill says she forgives the man who shot her. He has not been arrested. The nonprofit Metro Caring that feeds people in the metro is now struggling after someone stole and damaged their truck. The truck was taken from its parking lot on 18th Avenue about a week and a half ago. It carries about 2,000 pounds of food per day, and when they got back, the nonprofit was told it can't be driven anymore. Now that means employees have to rely on a smaller truck, making more trips to drop off food and using it for other things throughout the day. The nonprofit says that won't be sustainable for long.
Besides a monetary value, it still meant a lot more to us because of what we were able to pick up and what we were able to do with it.
Metro Caring is unsure how much insurance money they can get for the truck, so we'd like to help by raising money through Denver 7 Gives. Just go to the Denver 7 Gives page by clicking this link over on thedenverchannel.com. Then you'll find a drop-down menu to a fund called Metro Caring Stolen Truck in order to make a donation. More than 5,400 Coloradans are getting their student loans forgiven. This affects people who attended Colorado-based Westwood College between 2002 and 2015. Colorado Attorney General Phil Weiser says the school misled students about employment, transferring credits, and its private institutional loan. Well, young people deal with so many stressors, and the pandemic really made things worse for them. CU Anschutz and Colorado Children's Hospital are now trying to fix that problem. As Denver 7's Veronica Acosta reports, they're teaming up to address a mental health crisis.
2 years ago, even last year, the students who we will eventually see walking into Cherry Creek High School here behind me, they were doing all of their learning from a computer right inside of their own houses. It was a tough time, so much so that a lot of those students ended up developing some mental health issues that maybe they'd never dealt with before. Cherry Creek School District officials say they saw a lot of their students go through this. So now, instead of having them go to an emergency room if they're ever in crisis, they want to be able to help them right inside of their schools.
This should be an outstanding intervention to really get kids help. This should hopefully help keep kids out of the emergency room.
Cherry Creek School District, CU Anschutz, and Colorado Children's Hospital, they're partnering on this treatment center. It's still very much under construction, as you can see from this video, but it'll serve students between 4th and 12th grades. And here's how it's going to work. There will be 3 levels of treatment, so severe, moderate, and then transitional as well. Students who have to spend time at the treatment center will also be getting an education while they're there. A doctor with Colorado Children's told me she's hoping this helps those with challenges that she's seeing in the emergency room.
We're seeing kids who are feeling depressed and sad and hopeless, that they've been lonely or not feeling like confident about themselves, and as in school or with friends, or if they played sports, and all sorts of things that kids are kind of having to find their footing on.
So the treatment center won't be finished until next summer, but the hope is that it can start serving students next school year. In Denver, I'm Veronica Acosta, Denver 7.
The Broncos are making a whole lot of roster moves ahead of today's 2 p.m. cut deadline. The team has to cut down to 53 players for its final roster. Our Broncos insider Troy Renck says the team is cutting quarterback Josh Johnson, so Brett Rippon will back up Russell Wilson. The team waived offensive lineman Quinn Bailey and is cutting D lineman Jonathan Harris and receiver Kendall Hinton. Troy is also reporting the team is trading linebacker Malik Reed and a 7th-round draft pick to the Steelers. The Broncos will get a 6th-round pick in return. And Troy is keeping track of all the moves throughout the day from down in Dove Valley. You can follow along right now on thedenverchannel.com. We'll also hear from Broncos GM George Payton a little bit later on this afternoon. And don't forget, you can watch the Broncos season opener from Seattle right here on Denver 7. It's less than 2 weeks away. That is on Monday, September 12th. You can also watch CSU's first game of the season this Saturday right here on Denver 7. They'll be in Ann Arbor to face the 8th-ranked Michigan Wolverines. The Rams have a new coach, Jay Norvell, and 40 new players. But team captain Daquan Jackson says they're ready to play at the Big House.
We've prepared, they prepared, and we're going to strap up and we're going to see which team comes out victorious. But I just been preaching to the young guys, don't go in there wide-eyed, go in there focusing on what you need to do, your job, and at the end of the game, I think they'll feel exactly what I'm talking about. You always have a shot when you go in there and you focus on the right things.
Could the Rams be the next Appalachian state and upset The Wolverines in the Big House. We will see come Saturday. Denver 7 has a full slate of college football on Saturday, starting with CSU and Michigan at 10. Then it's Oregon and Georgia, followed by Notre Dame and Ohio State. Over on Local 3, you can watch the UNC Bears play Houston Baptist. Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets aren't getting a whole lot of love from the NBA. ESPN released a report from a panel of 15 coaches, scouts, and executives about what they expect heading into the regular season. Well, Jokic wasn't named among the top NBA players, and he wasn't picked to win his third MVP this year either. The Nuggets got one vote for having the worst offseason for their trade that sent Monte Morris and Will Barton to Washington. They did get one vote to win the Western Conference, though. The NBA regular season begins in mid-October. Coming up, a free way to get around could expand to 3 more Denver neighborhoods. Plus, the Biden administration wants to reduce gun violence across the U.S. We're looking at the plan the president will unveil today.